Weather seems nice today, and summer is actually almost over. You can believe that. For me, it basically went by so fast. And what was going on today? I guess it was based on what happened yesterday night. They had the federal election, and I guess, as expected, you didn't really learn much. I think, funny enough, one of the most interesting thing is something that didn't actually happen, because I'm just reading the poll results and stuff like that afterwards, like what they say here in terms of how people will vote, I guess, after those debates and stuff like that. It says here what conservatives, liberals, New Democrats in terms of the top three. And funny enough, it says here like People's Party, there wasn't even a representative there, like the leader or whatever. So isn't that kind of weird in that sense? Why was this person left out if apparently, according to these polls, they're kind of ranked highly in terms of voter intentions, if that's what you want to say? It just feels like overall it's so divisive. People are doing it emotionally, attacking people in any way they can, even if there's no merit. So yeah, ultimately it's not people trying to work together to solve a solution. It's more about separating people, saying you versus us, which is a little unfortunate. Which kind of makes me think, because I think the biggest thing I read today was kind of interesting. It kind of related to politics in some ways, but someone actually got arrested for flying a drone, and it doesn't actually make sense when I read into it more. So let's start with this one here. This article here says, associate of Kevin J. Johnston charged after drone flown illegally over several Calgary locations. A man known for being friends with far-right social media personality Kevin J. Johnston has been charged after a drone was illegally flown several times this week in Calgary, including at this past weekend's CFL game. Transport Canada and the Calgary Police Service said they are investigating the incidents. The first happened on Monday when police said a drone was flown over McMahon Stadium during the Labor Day Classic between the Calgary Stampeders and Edmonton Elks. The operator was, quote, in contravention of flying above crowds higher than 400 feet and operating the drone in airspace occupied by the Royal Canadian Air Force, police said. The second incident took place on Tuesday at City Hall and Olympics Plaza, in which police said the drone was flown over crowds. And it says here, Calgary police said Derek Storie was arrested on Tuesday and charged with 2 counts of operate a conveyance in a manner that was dangerous to the public under the Criminal Code Section 32013. 1 count of operate a remotely piloted aircraft system in such a reckless or negligent manner as to endanger or likely to endanger aviation safety, contrary to Section 900.06 of the Canadian Aircraft Regulations. Now there seems to be potentially a lot of contradicting information in this, which I'll get into in a bit. But with that in mind, what they apparently did afterwards was they went after, I guess, the drone operator and they arrested him, and people actually recorded it.
Oh, what? Oh! Oh!
Get your hands behind your back! Get your hands behind your back!
You guys are actually going to arrest him for a drone? Yeah. You should be embarrassed for yourself.
It's communism, guys.
You guys are disgusting. You guys, take a look here and look at these guys. Don't ever have respect for people like this. Because he was flying a drone, they're arresting him. Remember what side of history you're on.
Now apparently they broadcasted their flight online, so with that in mind, the information is there, or the quote evidence on whether or not they broke the law, so to speak. And you can see basically when you look online, there were some people who immediately pointed out saying what he was flying was illegal, it broke laws. For example, you can't fly over crowds, advertise events, etc., etc. And even the funny thing is, some of the people even say here is they don't know what the weight of the drone is, and that is actually one of the big factors here, which is why I say it's kind of contradicting. What exactly was he flying? Because you can even see in their stream, apparently, these guys were actually getting reported, I guess, about flying illegally, and they were showing they were flying the Mini, like a micro drone, which theoretically should be okay, minus the fact if there was an actual airspace restriction for any flights in general. That's a different story, kind of like how they banned everything, even a model aircraft, from flying over those residential schools, if you guys remember that, because if he was flying a Mini, then that should be okay. Which would then bring up the point that I haven't actually seen yet, where when it comes to things like a micro drone, it's more about you just have to fly safely. So apparently with what they posted, you can see basically in the video, the guy was saying, whoa, he's so near an aircraft and all that, which is why some people are saying, well, there's an example there, like he's flying dangerously. So you can see basically in the video where he makes that comment and stuff like that. Oh! Wow! I hope I caught them. Oh, that was close. That was so close.
Yeah. That was so close. I'm coming back. That scared me. I almost got hit by a jet.
That's kind of what made this a little unclear still, because when he made that comment saying he almost hit like the jet or whatever, you can see from the information from his phone, he was flying about what, a little over 30 meters or so before he said, oh, that's it, like he almost hit it, I'm coming back down. I don't know if they were being sarcastic or not, but was the plane actually flying that low, for example, for a person to say what he did was extremely reckless, as an example? And is this the case where it's someone or people just really disliking someone where they just want to hammer them in any way possible? Because that is so interpretive in terms of saying, oh, you just gotta fly it in a non-reckless manner. So what's your definition of reckless, for example? Would it be this? When you think about it, first you have people in the general public, I guess, if it is like just an average individual just posting stuff about drones that don't relate to the micro drone rules, like here in Canada, in terms of flying over crowds and all that, calling it illegal when it really isn't. That's one thing. And then second, you have these people here who were actually, I guess, streaming and taping the video. Apparently, even in the actual stream, they were saying they did all their research, what they're doing is completely legal, and then they show a map to show like the airspace. And from what I gathered from that map, that's the DJI map, not the actual like official Canadian one. So you gotta be careful about that too. So there are just so many question marks in this whole story here. Because one, again, since it's pretty much conclusive here that he was flying a micro drone, a lot of that stuff that they mentioned in terms of flying over the crowds and stuff is actually irrelevant. So if he was arrested on that basis, so to speak, would there be an actual issue of that in terms of the law enforcement? Because that is a thing too with all the stories, as you guys know, where RCMP officers have been misleading the public in terms of what the regulations and stuff are. For example, just in general, you're not allowed to fly around a building. That's what they say. There's no law saying you can't fly around a building. That's like way back. As well, these guys here, they're claiming anyways that the reason why they're being targeted, I guess, because of this political stuff for whatever reason. Like, I don't know the story. I don't follow that stuff. It reminds me of why I don't, because here they talk about things like what? Rights and lefts. I think there's an example of why I don't care about that stuff. Here, you should just try to find out all the information in general, not just try to attack the other side, finding every little thing to attack them with, even if it's irrelevant. In my opinion, it doesn't really get anywhere. Like here, you want to talk about safety, talk about safety. And I guess the question is too, for drone operators, what would you say in this case? Would you agree or disagree in terms of how these people were being treated for flying the micro drone? Because again, I actually haven't read a story like this in general, where it's going to be really interpretive if you're going to say flying over crowds and stuff like that, because technically it is legal. For example, with the micro drones, you're just going to have to argue they did it in a reckless or negligent manner. Because from what I see legally, the only thing you could actually throw the book at them with is whether or not there was an explicit restriction in terms of any flights in general within that area. So it doesn't matter in that case if it's a model aircraft or whatever, that's just the way it is law-wise. Alright, see you guys later.